Now, the White House not exactly ending the year on a high note. A new poll from the Washington Post, ABC News puts the president at the worst public approval rating of his presidency. 43% approve. And, oh, what a difference a year makes. Last December, in the weeks before his second inaugural, the same poll had him at 54%. It's an 11-point slide. The biggest hit may be on the public's perception of how capable President Obama is of helping the middle class. Let's bring in today's panel the former Republican governor of Minnesota and current president and CEO of the Financial Services Roundtable, Tim Pawlenty, a former Democratic senator from Arkansas and chair of the It's My Business Coalition, Blanche Lincoln, and CNN political commentator and Washington correspondent for The New Yorker, Ryan Lizza. So here's what's most striking. We all know his approval ratings are low, but on the question of who could do a better job for the middle class, just 46% say the president. That's still a teeny bit more than the Republican Party. But last year, the president had a 26-point advantage on this question. 26 to now 6 points. Ryan, what happened?
Well, 2013 was essentially a wasted year for Obama. I mean, if you compare with what he ran on in 2012 and what he got accomplished, the scorecard doesn't look so good, right? Immigration reform got through one chamber of Congress, not the other. Most of his economic ideas have not been instituted into law, including this package that he's got the small package today, but that's not what he really campaigned on. And if you look at some of the things like climate change and implementation of health care, big unknowns, question marks, and on implementation of health care, a bit of a disaster there, at least in the short term. So he's had a year like George W. Bush had in 2005, in the first year of his second term. Now, can he turn it around? Sure he can. I think his fortunes will be about the improving economy. And there's a lot of good economic news coming out right now. And 2014, 2015, if the economy turns around, those numbers that we saw will turn around.
Governor, do you buy Dr. Liz's diagnosis? I mean, is it just
Dr. Lizzie? Well, of course. Whatever the doctor.
I had to give him a title. I got a senator and a governor. I figured I'll make him a doctor. Why not?
Yeah, well, obviously the two big kahunas since the poll benchmark that you mentioned a year ago and now has been this, a halting recovery. Most recently a little better, but for most of it pretty laggard in terms of the impact. I think people thinking this is not as good as we thought it was or he promised. And then two, of course, is Obamacare, not just the promise of it during the campaign, but the reality of it, including the launch. So I think those are the two main reasons why he has suffered in the polls recently.
And Senator Lincoln, looking to the 2014 midterms, which I know a lot of us are doing already, 2 months ago, Democrats had an 8-point advantage on the who do you prefer? Generic Democrat versus generic Republican right after the shutdown. Today it's just 2 points, 47-45 within the margin of error. Would your Democrats, your fellow Democrats, should they be worrying?
Well, I think it's going to be tough for some Democrats, obviously in the South, and some of those that those Democrats that have a tough race like that. But
your former colleague, Breyer, Landrieu. You don't have to name them.
Yeah, no, I mean, we know who they are, and they're tough races. It's a tough area in the country. But I think really you're talking about middle class, and I think the biggest thing there is jobs. The fact is nobody's talking about jobs. Nobody's talking about creating jobs. Nobody's talking about putting the economy back on track anymore, and the middle class and others are feeling it. I mean, there's been some good economic news, but the fact is there could be so much more if we were really focused on it, and the White House isn't talking about it. You know, and he does still fall behind Congress. I mean, he has fallen, but he hadn't fallen that
far. Oh, no,
far.
He's still not as unpopular as Congress is.
Exactly.
That's hard to beat, right?
Yeah, Congress is, what they say, it's down to blood relatives and paid staff.
You know, if you wanted to get an idea of how frustrated Obama is with the year he had and his inability to get anything done, I don't know if you guys saw it, but today he was joking with some of the tech executives, and he told the guy from Netflix, he made a positive comment about the Kevin Spacey character in House of Cards.
The ruthless guy.
Who, by the way, is a murderer.
He's a murderer. He killed a congressman from Pennsylvania.
And Obama apparently noted that he liked the efficient way he got things done in Washington on House of Cards.
Nice.
So that's how bad it is for Obama. He's now comparing himself with a murderer.
So let's talk about Congress, because they are about to pass something. It looks like this budget deal is actually going to go through, despite the objections of people like Senator Ayotte. Republicans and Democrats overwhelmingly coming together, it looks like, it certainly happened in the House, probably in the Senate, to support this passage. Is that going to help the economy? Is it going to send the right signal to investors? What do you think, Governor?
Well, Jake, business leaders like certainty. So any sort of certainty that you can signal to the market and bring to the market, it helps. Now, it's not the only factor, but certainty in the market helps. This deal brings some closure to some lingering issues. It's not pretty. It's not elegant. It's ugly. But the news, the headline really is Republicans and Democrats actually agreed on something, and it may be hopefully a down payment to making some more progress. There are elements of the deal that are problematic, obviously, as your previous guest highlighted, But overall, the fact that they could agree on anything and avoid another crisis is newsworthy.
We only have a couple minutes, but I want to ask about this interesting story. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee is reportedly getting into the news business. He's going to launch the Huckabee Post. And it's not...
it's getting into the news.
Well, I guess that's true. He's been hosting his own show
exactly.
on Fox, and
radio.
And he's been doing radio commentary for a long, long time. He has show business in his blood. But have you ever been tempted to I mean, I guess you're kind of a pundit right here, but have you ever tempted to be like a Charles Foster Kane, I would like to own a newspaper, to really take control
never.
of a media organization? Never?
No, no desire.
Doesn't appeal to
Mike
you
is
at all?
great. I'm on his radio program a lot, and he and I worked well together, bipartisan, from when I was in the Senate and he was governor of the state. But I've never had a desire. I'll leave that up to you guys.
What about you?
Well, anything that Mike Huckabee does, I think, is virtuous and terrific. So he's a great guy. And I mean, if he did a blog or his version of the Huffington Post, I'm sure it'd be funny, it'd be quippy, it'd probably get a big readership, and more power to him.
Polenti Post does have a nice
The Polenti
ring to it.
Post?
Yeah,
Has a
well,
nice
the
ring
Lincoln
to it.
Post?
That would be blood relatives and
You
family.
can merge the Polenti Lincoln Post Gazette. Ryan, Governor, Senator, thank you so much.